Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the rumored tournament structure for next season. Someone out there is leaking tons of information, it sounds like. We will give an update on the use of AI in the Pokemon illustration contest. We talked about this last week. We got an update to share. The Pokemon Company put out a statement. We will, of course, have Guess That Flavor Text, everyone's favorite segment of the podcast. And then we're going to close out this week talking about the current format, where we think it's at. There are some tournaments happening over in Asia. One happened in Asia a couple weeks ago, another one happening this coming weekend that Azul's going to be watching over on his stream. We'll talk about that. And of course, Cups and Challenges are starting up very, very soon for the next season, and that will be in the current format. So we'll be talking about what we think is good right now to close things out this week. And then we will, of course, have our weekly bonus episode over on the Patreon. My name is Chip Ritchie, joined here as always by my friend and co-host Azul GG. What's up, Azul? How we doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, Chip. Had another week of content, and I actually started playing in online tournaments again. I haven't done those in a little while, like
Those are really
consistently.
good content.
Yeah,
That
and
people just like to watch stuff with something on the line, right? So
exactly, and that's like one of the realizations I kind of had playing them is just like basically aren't playing for anything because there's like a couple codes you get for getting like top 8 in a lot of these, but codes don't mean anything to almost anyone anymore. I was actually curious about that, so I asked my chat. I was like, do any of you guys like, because I was like getting back into playing the online tournaments. I was curious, like, what is the pricing for these things these days? It's just some codes. Okay, that's what I thought. Like, no one's really doing like cash pricing or anything like that. And I was like, I never need codes. Does anyone? I was like, I asked my chat, does anyone ever need codes? Does anyone buy codes anymore? And everyone's just like, no. Like, pretty much everyone's just like, nah. Basically, have everything we need pretty consistently. Because like, I invested in like the 400 celebrations codes or whatever, and got me just over 200K in credits, and I sometimes dip below 200, but then I, like, get back above 200 with the battle
yeah,
pass,
you have
so
like way more than enough.
yeah, I mean, no one needs codes anymore, so basically no one's playing for anything, but, it's so much more enjoyable to play, and it makes me realize how much it stinks that we don't have a ranked ladder on PTCG Live because, yeah, when you're even in these online tournaments where you're playing for nothing besides saying, "I did this in the like, I won the tournament or top 8 the tournament," it's like like, you're locked in, people enjoy watching those games more because they know something's on the line, and I like lock in more, and I'm like trying harder in them as well. And we could have that with a ranked ladder if we had one. Trying to climb to like rank 1 or top 100 or whatever it might be. But that's kind of something I notice is just like, yeah, this is like so much more enjoyable to play the game in this atmosphere. People enjoy watching it more, and we're not playing for literally anything except the idea of winning a tournament, right? Like, it's kind of funny, but I've been enjoying doing that. That's been fun. And I'm going to be doing a lot more online tournaments. We have so much time now. I was kind of like having that realization of how much time there is between now and Worlds. Still, we're just under 2 months before the World Championships. But yeah, how about you, Chip? How was your week? Get up to anything crazy?
Yeah, week's good. Nothing super crazy. Just kind of normal, chill stuff. Got a new microphone here for the podcast. So if things sound better, let us know this week, as we'll kind
Hopefully,
of
it sounds better.
encouraged me to get a new microphone. I think the one I had was fine, but if this is a little better, sure, we'll roll with it.
Hey, it's worth it.
um,
We plan on doing this for a while, so may as well get the.
well, you might, but I don't know.
It's
Thought
just
about
gonna be.
starting up some other show with someone else. I don't know.
Hey, listen, different shows for different purposes. Um, but yeah.
But yeah, nothing much going on this week. Yeah, we're
Crazy.
actually going on vacation coming up soon, which I'm looking forward to. Might conflict with next week's podcast episode. We will see. There's the chance that there's some pretty big news coming out soon from the Pokemon Company, and if that is the case, then we'll make sure to have an episode out next week. But I would say next week's episode may be a little tentative, but I would say decent shot of it happening. And that does kind of lead right into this first topic we have here.
I think to start off, we should say nothing has officially been announced about anything going into the next season, but there's definitely more talk about the next season structure leading up to the next season than usual. because a lot of people are spreading rumors not as facts, but basically like that they think things are like people are saying they have information about the next season, which
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of speculation usually head into the new season, but there's not a lot of people being like, I've heard this is what's going to happen next season. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit unique going into the new season this time around.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I do want to put a little disclaimer out there before we get into this topic as well, talking about some of the rumors and leaks, whatever might be out there. Obviously do the casting and I work closely with TPCI on certain products. I'm very thankful to have that opportunity and do that. I have signed non-disclosure agreements for the things that I hear from time to time. I will say I definitely know way less than people think I know. People think I know like everything that's happening, the reason behind every decision. I know way, way less than people realize. Um, and I would never, speak about a topic on this podcast that I believe would put like my NDA in jeopardy, right? That I would not want to, be breaking anything like that. So, if you hear me talking about something in general on this podcast, that means that I do not have like, if I'm talking about something speculative that has not been announced, that means I don't know anything to be fact, right?
Yeah.
So, with this rumors about next season's tournament structure. I do not know any of this to be fact or anything like that. Just want to throw that out there and we can hop into it. And I think a lot of it did stem from this tweet initially from Tate Whitesell this week saying that competitive Pokemon as we know it ends June 28th. A pretty ominous statement there, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually responded to Tate's tweet because I was like curious what Tate thought about it, if Tate knew anything that was to be is true or whatever. I was like, in a good or bad way. And then he responded to me, "You'll be fine." But I am still curious if Tate thinks what he's heard is good or bad. So Tate, if you're out there and you hear this, do you think it's good or do you think it's bad from
Yeah,
what
Tate
you've
actually
heard?
did a Twitter Spaces chat with Bart Musser at the end of last week. I tuned in for a little bit, listened to them. They were talking about it just a little bit, but I kind of caught the tail end of the conversation. But one of the things James Musser was saying is like so many people are just tweeting stuff and putting stuff out there as fact right now with like no reason to be saying that things are fact. Like the no genuine backing behind it, right? This is all very much speculation until an announcement comes out. But there is a chance that an announcement's coming this Friday, June 28th. I mean, this is just a couple days away now.
Yeah, and I think it like I don't know how or why Tate would know, but it kind of makes sense, right? Cups and stuff start in July. We're at the end of June. I also wasn't there. I feel like I saw something more official. Um,
Not that I know of.
it posted. Didn't they say that we would know something before Cups and Challenges start up or something like that? Dude, I swear, I like saw this recently. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of something here. There was something said, and I think it was from Pokemon. Not recently. It wasn't recent. It was like you'll know before. Oh, by the end of June, you'll know something. Where was this? Where did I see this? I saw this
That doesn't
recently.
sound like something Pokemon would tweet.
Oh, it was
They don't respond to tweets. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was something. No, they weren't responding to tweets. They made a statement in one of the articles on the site. Is it called articles? Is that what you call them?
Yeah, like news updates.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Maybe I'm misremembering. I thought they said something like um you'll know by the end of this month, something, or like the information will be out by the end of the month. Maybe it was about like cups and challenges happening, like we would know the tournament. I don't even know. I don't know. But it would make sense for there to be an announcement uh this week or at the beginning of next week about the tournament structure for next season because cups and challenges for next season start in a week.
Yeah, they start
Um,
on July the 1st. That
yeah.
is confirmed. They're already scheduled on the Pokemon website. So you can check the event locator, see if there's any tournaments happening in your area, and start earning some points towards next season. Though we don't know right now what they would be for, but I think that's why you're saying it would line up with them like releasing it this Friday
Yeah.
and then
That makes me
July the
kind of
1st is
think
Monday, right?
that makes me think whatever Tate heard to prompt tweeting that tweet might be legit because it just kind of makes sense. It's like not that shocking if it did happen on the 28th. Uh, Actually, speaking of where we are right now in the time frame, this kind of just came to my mind. What do you think about? I mean, well, yeah, what do you think about? I mean, I guess maybe we didn't feel it that much, or it's like not really that big of a deal one way or another. But the lack of championship point tournaments in July, new
Like
thing that
this
they
break.
did, yeah, like this break. This is the break is almost longer than that. I guess for majors, it's longer than that.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, this is
but
not abnormal, right? This is the same setup it's been for years where
no,
there's
didn't cups and challenges usually start like the week after NAIC? Am I
no,
misremembering?
there would be some tournaments. There was always like a little bit of a break.
Okay, was there? I don't remember that. I always thought like it was
I'm
literally just like
pretty
literally the next weekend.
dude, honestly, I could be misremembering.
Yeah,
I
see, I think
feel
I
like there's
remember.
always been a little bit of a break, but I know there was for a while there was the uh it was like the season wouldn't end the weekend of NAIC. It was or it
Maybe
would
like
end
a
the weekend of
Monday.
NAIC, but stores could still schedule tournaments that weekend. That's something they did
Yeah,
away with this year, where you couldn't go play in like a cup or challenge the weekend of NAIC.
yeah, you could,
Uh,
yeah, because I remember.
there was actually something really funny that happens. Funny to some people, not very funny to others, though. Where I
Yeah,
think it was at NAIC in 2019.
yeah.
Grant Manley was having a deep run in the tournament. I think he ended up getting top 16, and that
That's
would have put
super
him with
scoop ups in his Pikarom, right? Wasn't that?
yeah,
Did he
yeah,
play
that was
that
the super scoop up Pikarom year. Yeah,
broken deck?
yeah, he had a deep run, and with that finish, he would have been in the top 16 for North America, which would have gotten him an automatic invite to day two at Worlds. But Joe Rudiger, who would have been pushed out by Grant making it into the top 16, was able to go to a league challenge like 2
On
hours
Sunday.
away from NAIC that was on a Sunday and won the league challenge, got himself enough points. If we went and looked at the leaderboard, because you can still see the leaderboards from back then,
Oh, yeah,
uh,
you
you
can.
can see that Grant was 17th by just a couple points, thanks to Joe Rudiger's league challenge win in the 11th hour.
Yeah.
So I think
It
I don't know if that's the exact reason that you can't have championship point events on the weekend of an AIC, but I don't know. It would make sense.
12 points, a first at a league challenge difference, or a second at a league challenge difference, I guess, if that was it. I don't know what the
Yeah, and
actual.
then look at the disparity in points between 17th and 18th. It's like almost 100 points.
Yeah.
Feels bad, Mr. Manley. But I mean, that's just fitting for the, unluckiest Pokemon player of all time.
It is definitely a that was definitely a funny outcome of that tournament overall or that weekend. Well, funny on the sidelines for me and you maybe. Um, but I'm sure Grant wasn't very happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't actually even go to this NAIC. I was not there.
Yeah, I don't know if that yeah, that's maybe not the exact reason, but I think like full focus on NAIC on that weekend, overall isn't like a terrible thing, I guess. Because it is like supposed to be the biggest Pokemon tournament of the year in terms of just size.
Right.
Which Worlds is the biggest
But
of
yeah,
them.
so I like that they did that this year, but then also like I don't hate the idea of like there being a little bit of a break, but it's really not that big. I mean, we're talking about a couple weeks really, and then it's jumping right back into things with the new
Yeah.
season. Now, I will say it is kind of weird the way that the season breaks up, right? We're playing tournaments right now for the 2020 or we will be after July 1st playing tournaments that lead towards the 2025 season when the 2024 season technically hasn't completed yet. We still have the
They
world
have Worlds.
championships to play.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of a funny thing for any like juniors or seniors out there who are aging up this coming year because they will play their first tournament as a master or senior, depending on where they're aging up. They'll play their first tournament in the new division before they play their last tournament in the old division because they still have worlds coming up to play in.
It's like, it's like, they're gonna go get some training in the higher division leading up to the World Championships. It's like,
Yeah, but most
what's the anime character? Is it Goku or something that in the time chamber
to
thingy?
to be honest though, man, most of the juniors and seniors who are like going to worlds, they're probably better than most of the masters at their locals anyway.
It's
So
true. It's true. Yeah. Definitely true. Actually, there was like a discussion a little while ago. Is it harder to top eight? It was on Twitter. Is it harder to top eight in seniors or day two in masters? And it's 100% harder to top eight in seniors
yeah,
than it
maybe
is to
not
day two masters. But
probably not when they get to day 2 Swiss, right? Probably not whenever they, uh get over 228 players or whatever in day one of a regionals. But whenever it's like 200 people and they go 8 rounds straight to top eight, yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
100%
yeah.
way
Way
harder in
harder.
seniors to get top
Yeah,
eight than it
day
is to get day two in masters. Now, I
day
don't
2
know
and
if
seniors
that's
might be
the,
easier, but
yeah, yeah, day two
actually
seniors makes it way easier because you can make top cut at like 10-4 or something like that.
oh, to make cut once you make day 2. Okay, sure,
Yeah,
sure, sure. Well,
yeah,
I don't know if that's easier than that's still like well, that's easier than getting top 8 in Masters division for sure.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then making day two in masters though, maybe not.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
who knows? Who
someone
knows?
put out a tweet comparing the 2, and it was just like, "Yeah, what's harder? Day 2 in Masters or top 8 in regional and seniors?" It's 100% harder to top 8 at regionals and seniors. I don't even think it's close. Like, I don't think it's, like, remotely close, especially when they don't have the day 2s, which they
Yeah.
did have did juniors and did juniors and seniors have day 2s at NAIC, or was it just
Junior
seniors?
did not. They were like they were not that far away though.
They had
But
it in
seniors
Orlando though,
did.
right? Didn't juniors in Orlando have
I think so if I remember right. I don't know that
yeah.
for a fact though.
It's definitely cool. Like that's like a I've mentioned
Yeah.
this a couple times now. That's like a big part of like the game growing, it feels like, is that happening
Oh, for
in
sure. I mean, this is like
lower
the future of the
divisions.
game, right?
Yeah. So it'd be cool to see. I mean, next season it'll be really cool to see at least the seniors, every regional seniors have a day 2. And that you know what, to be honest, that's just gonna like it makes the tournaments more competitive. The seniors are gonna be that much better coming into the Masters division when they have to go through all these bigger tournament or this much more tournament at these bigger tournaments. Um, yeah,
Well, let's get back to the topic at hand, right?
yeah.
With
What are we talking about?
the discussion around
Rumors.
the rumors leading into next season. So, Tate tweeted this and then people started speculating and kind of figuring things out. I think one of the bigger threads here was from Dre Aldretti saying, if what I've heard about the changes in BFLs and the overall invite structure is true, I think we're going to see a huge decline. Seems kind of bad for the game. And then in the replies here, someone said, how bad? He said, lower BFLs, no points threshold, only top X gets invites. And I think this is the biggest thing here. No point. The rumor is that there will be no championship point threshold where, currently US Masters needed to get to 600 championship points to earn an invite. They're doing theoretically, allegedly doing away with that. And then only the top X would get invite. Who knows what that
Yeah.
is? Top 20, top 40, top 100, top 500, who knows? Top X gets invites.
Back in the day, it used to be top 40 for anyone who's curious. We used to have an ELO system. So if you beat someone who had better ELO than you, you'd get more ELO yourself. And if you lost to someone with less ELO than you, you'd lose a lot of ELO. So you'd have weird situations where people would show up to like city championships, win 3 rounds, and then drop before they hit like a player that was that much better than them or as good as them, and they could um, possibly lose. They would just like kind of farm ELO. And the most memorable moment for me back then was I played against Dylan Bryan, who was like a great player who doesn't really play anymore, and I beat him at nationals. No idea who he was at the time, and he had to drop the round after to preserve his world's invite.
Yeah.
So it was like a pretty like back then it was really bad because it was top X ELO, so it's kind of toxic. Not toxic. Yeah, it was kind of it made things unfun because you just
It was just because people were able to abuse ELO,
yeah, and
right?
it was better to sometimes not finish tournaments. Like,
Yeah.
I think Dylan Bryan still ended up with his Worlds invite that year after I beat him, but he had to drop after I beat him and go. And he ended up going like 4-1 or something. And it's like he didn't have a chance to become the national champion, because he just had to drop. Like that's like hella cringe. Like it's definitely going to be if it is top X with championship points, it'll definitely be better because there's no incentive to ever drop a tournament, right? But I just don't like the idea of top X. I think lower BFLs would make sense with top X because then it would make it more attainable for more people because there'd be less of a disparity. Like if it was BFL of 6, like it is now, it's 6, right? I think it's 6. Yeah,
It is
like it is
6.
now. Someone like me who can go to like who's going to go to like 12 regional championships, I have a lot higher chance of having like 6 really really good finishes. Whereas someone who can only go to like 8 or even maybe only 6 regional championships has way less of a chance of like filling those out to higher placements. But if the BFL comes down to like 3 regionals, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, they go to 6 regionals, I go to 12, but they have a lot higher chance of like matching me in the good finishes for that. So that makes sense if we are going to a top X system for there to be a lower BFL. I
Yeah.
honestly just don't like the idea of going to a top X system. I've said in the past it was way worse in the ELO days because of ELO. But even with championship points, I just like the idea of like a set number you have to hit, and then kind of constructing the BFLs and points around that.
Yeah, and I think, if top X is going to be the thing, one of the big questions is just gonna be what is X, right? Is it gonna be
Yeah,
top 40 like it was in the past? Looking at
hopefully
top
not.
50? Are we looking at top 100? And, obviously, it's something that will probably differ between rating zones as well, right? Like, naturally, the smaller rating zones with less players will have less invites than the other rating zones. Um
Yeah, I guess that would
I think
make
from
sense.
as someone who doesn't really compete very often anymore, who's just a fan of the game, and then also like from a commentator, spectator point of view, um, I think it does create some cool storylines to be able to follow, right? Something else to look at throughout the season. I think it makes things more competitive at the top level, and then it also makes it much more competitive once we get to Worlds, right?
Yeah,
So I think those prospects are kind of exciting. What another aspect of this as well, there's been the huge debate in the community for months now about, what does the Pokemon Company want Worlds to be? Is it the celebration of Pokemon? Is it a top level competition, right? Is it too easy to qualify for Worlds? Are there too many people competing at Worlds every single year? And, you know, Pokemon hasn't like especially come out and said one way or the other, there's too many people at Worlds, or we think it's too easy. But with them going to a system like this where only top X gets invite, they know exactly how many people will get a Worlds invite every single year. So they get to kind of dictate, if this system comes out to be true, um, how big they want Worlds to be. So I mean, and it looks like that may be the case. They want the competition itself to be more exclusive potentially, with, so many other things happening at Worlds as well. I remember at Anaheim Worlds in 2017. It was a pretty small Worlds for the championship point years. Comparatively, it actually might be one of the smallest Worlds when championship points have been a thing, because remember that was the season that they like lowered the point threshold. They retroactively
yeah,
added points to tournaments because not enough people were qualifying, and it still ended up being small. Like I remember day one of Worlds was only 6 rounds, which I think that's the only time in the modern era since ICs became a thing that day one of Worlds was only 6 rounds. Um, so it was like definitely pretty small, but the event itself was still massive. There was the first ever open tournament happened, the Anaheim Open,
yeah,
and that tournament was massive. It was like 800 people or something like that, which at the time was like larger than any regionals had been. So I think like the idea that the Worlds tournament itself being smaller would lead to Worlds being less attended is definitely not necessarily true, right? Like,
yeah,
people
for
still
sure.
showed up and showed out for it.
Yeah, especially I mean, especially as long as they don't put it in Hawaii again, then
That
like,
is
and then
that is
people will.
definitely another
we
aspect of
need
it.
to we need a better location if that's gonna be the move where they just want a lot of people to show up at least. I mean, my biggest thing with this though is like I feel like I mean, this is maybe Pokemon, telling us what they want the World Championships to be because I feel like a lot of people play Pokemon to just play Pokemon. They enjoy Pokemon, but there's a lot of people who enjoy the Pokemon game, but they are playing. And this is where I kind of disagree with some takes that I've seen people have is where they've been like, if you're not just playing Pokemon for the love of just playing the game, then why are you even playing the game to begin with? Kind of in a response to people being like, well, now I just can't play for my Worlds invite next year. But a lot of people are looking for a competitive hobby
Sure.
and they like playing Pokemon. And now, what are you competing for? If not for your Worlds invite, I guess becomes a question for people. But maybe the mindset behind that just would have to change to the point where it's like you're competing to win the tournament that you're currently at. So even if you can only go to 2 regionals a year, that's your Worlds. That's I guess that would have to kind of be the adjustment. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the average player is gonna or the average like competitive player is gonna feel about that overall being the thing they're playing for now instead of the world championships. But I don't think it's like a terrible mindset adjustment to have. But yeah,
Again,
overall, I don't I just like there being like a set bar that like you're playing for, you're working towards. And if they want to make it harder, sure, but it's really hard for a lot of players or many players to really want to commit to the idea of having to be in like the top X at the end of the year. Of course, we don't know what it is. If it is like top 500, because I mean, how many people got their worlds invites here in in
I'll look real quick. I think it's like
America?
300.
Okay. So if they made it like top, I don't know, 250, maybe it is still less. If they made it top 250, um, then that doesn't seem too unobtainable for the average competitive player, the average player who's trying to play for their Worlds invite,
Yeah.
right? Especially if they lower the BFL, because then you're a little bit more on an even playing field with the players who can travel a lot, right? So 271, right? So
271 players
even if they
from
made it like
US and
top
Canada.
200, even if they made it like top 200, there would still be some potential there with a lower BFL across the board at regionals and cups and challenges, maybe.
Dang, bro. It's a good thing JW won a regionals, huh?
I think he would have gone to one more league challenge if he
I
needed.
know, I know, I know.
He would.
Yo,
I think
pour
he
one
would have
out
made it
for
work.
Mikey Gibbs here. The dude 4 point
Oh,
shorts, and he got top 16 at NAIC, I'm pretty sure, right?
yeah. That is unfortunate. Almost
So
got the
close.
top 8 for the invite. That's actually kind of insane.
Yeah,
So close. Had a good call with that Maridon play as well.
definitely. Um, I think
Yeah. So
another aspect of this. Oh, sorry, go ahead, but I
yeah, I
don't
would say
want to.
overall to me it feels like a negative if that is the route we end up going.
Another aspect of this we haven't talked about yet as well. Like it's something that I think what the biggest reaction was, a lot of people were saying this is going to like because right now in the Pokemon TCG, the last 2 years we've just experienced exponential growth, right?
Yeah.
Tournament after tournament is the largest event of all time. Um, and then now the sentiment seemed like from a lot of people that like, oh, this is going to just kill the growth of the game. And that was honestly one of my first like knee jerk reactions to hearing this rumor. Again, we gotta just remind everyone, I think a little bit we've been talking about this as fact. It's not fact. We don't know for sure what's happening yet, but hopefully we'll find out soon. um but yeah, my knee jerk reaction was definitely like, if this is true, like this, I think regionals numbers are going to plummet. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and I just don't know that that's necessarily true, right? I
Yeah. I
mean,
don't know.
it might level out a little bit, if anything, but I could just see it continuing to grow. I mean, we're having 2,600 player regional championships, and we're looking at 270 people who got their Worlds invite, right? Now, definitely more than that were close or trying, right? There's probably you could say people who are in the 400s who like were competing, trying, going to plenty of regionals to give themselves that shot. But I mean, even if you expand that out, that's going to be well under 600 people. It looks like, yeah, like
Yeah.
550-ish people with 400 or more points.
And now these people are not going to every single tournament, so it's not like minus
Exactly.
500 from every single regional championships. Yeah, I that's one thing I think as well. I think a lot of people just like enjoy playing the game, want to play the game, and if this does happen and you want to still be a competitive player, like make the next regional go to make that your. I mean, put the emphasis on that the way you maybe would have put on your preparation for the world championships. Because if you win the regional, well, I guess we don't know if that's
That's
true going to
another
be a
thing
thing
too.
either. They might get rid of the guaranteed invites for winning a regional, which I hope they don't. I think that was an amazing change,
I agree.
and uh, for the sake of JW's invite, when I keep those around, and I want to see them expand on that. I've mentioned that a couple times, and then I think that would be a good if it'll be a good help to those players who can only go to like one, two or three major tournaments a year. If they
Any
expanded
tournament, you give
like
yourself a shot, right?
yeah, but and winning is a lot. But if they expanded regionals to like top 8, if you top 8 a regional, you get Worlds invite. Like I think that would put like a reasonable bar for a lot of players to put a lot of time and a lot of competitive players to put a lot of time and effort into for those couple majors that they get to go to try and achieve that goal. And get themselves that world invite, and don't feel as out of it, even if you only have one major left to go through the rest of the season. And you know you're not going to be able to break into the top 100 or 200, whatever it might end up being. As long as you can like top 8 the tournament, then you'll have a shot. So I would like to see them expand on the auto invites for sure. I would like to see that happen, and hopefully they don't get rid of it. That's the biggest thing. I just don't want them to get rid of the auto invites because I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Like it just makes sense. If you win a regional, your invite is good. But I think we should expand on that for sure, especially with the tournaments getting bigger. But I think I agree with you. I don't think the size of the tournaments is going anywhere. I don't know if we're gonna have the same growth we had this year. Maybe some more growth in general. But yeah, this year was pretty crazy in terms of growth. But people love playing Pokemon, want to play Pokemon, want to compete. It doesn't matter, I don't think, that much that there's going to be less potential. It really is only less potential to get invites if you're able to go to a lot of majors. Because if you are doing well at some of these tournaments, you are putting yourself in a position like if you're pushing for top 16s in these tournaments and can get multiple top 16s, then you're a potential. You can potentially make a run for getting to the getting into the top 100, or if they do expand on the auto invites, which I'm praying they do. It's like the one change I want to see happen. Then all of a sudden, if you get to the top 8, hopefully or something like that, then you get your invite anyways. So um yeah, I do like I did like the system we had. It didn't feel terrible. I think if they wanted to make it harder to get Worlds invite, increase the amount of points, lower the amount of points you can gain at tournaments, lower the best finish limit. I don't know what it would have to be. I
Yeah.
think it would have been fine. Having a number out there, I think, is just nice because, like, I think a lot of people are just kind of, even if they think they could try and make a run for the top 100, it's a lot nicer knowing what you have to achieve before you make an attempt, right? Before you before you go to try and get your world's invite, it's like, okay, I know how many championship points I need to get. I can kind of like write down the finishes I need to place for the tournaments I can go to throughout the year, and I can try and achieve those goals instead of being like, well, whatever 100th place is, I need to have that or more. Like, I don't know, it doesn't feel as reassuring, I feel like.
I did have something I wanted to say around the BFL topic because you were talking about that a little bit earlier on as well. And I don't know that the rumor of like them lowering the BFL, like if it does go from 6 to 4, let's say for example, I don't know if that so it does do two things, right? Where if someone can only go to 4 regionals, they have an opportunity to just lock up those 4 BFLs, and that could be enough, right?
Yeah.
Depending on where
Allows more
how
people to
how many
compete,
X's.
right?
But I would say like at the higher level, right? If it's a BFL of 4, like fighting for top 16, it's even more important to go to every single tournament because, it is a card game. There is like the RNG element of the game. Maybe you have a tournament that you draw bad, maybe you have a tournament you hit a bunch of bad matchups for whatever deck you chose for the event. Um, it's going to be like, I think if it's top 100, for example, I actually just did this. I went and looked. So the person who got 100th place this season, Frank Diaz, 683 points. If we look at his Limitless page, you can see he has 2 IC finishes and then 2 regionals finishes, one top 32, one top 64. And so if it's a regionals BFL of 4, top 64, top 32, and then, he probably has some like 256s in here from like, going 6-3 or whatever, maybe a regionals or something like that, right? So if you're saying like to get to top 100, you got to get one top 32, one top 64. I think that's a reasonable goal, right? For someone to get to worlds. But if we look at like the top 16 potentially, like let's go with Rowan here, 16th, and look at his 4 best tournament finishes. It puts even more emphasis on it. His 4 best regional finishes: third, eighth, fourth, and 13th. So he had 3 top 8s and a top 16.
Yeah.
So it's
But
like to make it into the top 16 next season, if that's even a thing as well. I guess we don't technically know if that's a thing. I mean, you're looking at it having to be that competitive, or you're
yeah.
having to have at minimum those strong of finishes, which I guess is like not necessarily a bad thing, right?
I
I
mean,
mean,
I I was gonna say there's a little. I mean, like he has no IC finishes though. Like that could be a huge chunk of points that Rowan could have had, right? So like I feel like there's a lot. There's so much more potential to like maximize your returns.
sure,
Like for any player in like any of these situations, whether you're competing for the tier 1 invite or tier 2 invite, if
yeah.
those even exist the next year, we'll have to wait and see. Or if you're just competing to try and be in the top 100, there's always more and more you could have done, better you could have done. So yeah, I don't know. It's like yeah, there's always more you could have done in those situations, and we'll have to see. Or where was I going with that, dude? I just lost my train of thought. I had something I was going to go with here. Um, but yeah, we'll have to see what they actually end up doing, I guess, overall, so maybe where I was going. But yeah, there's always more you can do it. But oh, okay. Yeah, if you want to like the thing with the top 16 thing as well, though, it's just do you want to put yourself in that spot to begin with? Like, and that's like really on the players. And like you're trying to do the thing full time, which I think it's great. I think it's would be really cool for Pokemon to create more opportunity for players to attempt to compete full time through stipends and travel awards. for maybe not just ICs, but also regionals as well, or something to incentivize players to want to compete at every single major, as many majors as they possibly can. I think it would be cool to see more of that incentive on Pokemon side for those players. But at the end of the day, for that kind of stuff, it really just comes down to if the players wants to do it or not. It's like the players in top 16 who are always complaining about having to go to league cups or league challenges or whatever. It's like, well, you know what you're signing up for at this point. I'm not completely against some of the ideas that those players come up with for making it a little bit less, the making that kind of more competitive grind a little bit less about like local tournaments. But yeah, at the end of the day, these players know what they're getting into or should. I don't know how they don't at this point. So it's not as big of a deal, I don't think, overall, the high end.
Sure. Um, yeah, again, so we'll probably be talking more about this next week, assuming there is an announcement on Friday, and
Yeah.
we'll,
Hopefully there is because
if
we
there
are
is an
getting,
announcement, we'll break everything down, give our full kind of thoughts. We'll do some of the number type things, looking at like, what people's points were this year, maybe talk about what a realistic goal would be for someone who wants to just qualify versus someone who wants to go for top 16, assuming that's a thing, right?
yeah.
We'll break it all down next week, hopefully, if there is the announcement. But
Hopefully there is
um
because like, we're gonna be able to start earning championship points next weekend, right?
it does
So
always feel bad. This has happened a couple times where it's like there are tournaments happening for the new season without us knowing what the new season structure is. That almost happened in Baltimore last year, right?
yeah, they
Where
was it like the week leading up to it, they announced everything?
or I know it wasn't last year. It was yeah, we didn't even go to Baltimore last year. It was in 2022, right?
Didn't they wasn't it after Baltimore that they announced it?
I think they announced it like the week before.
Maybe. I thought for some reason in my head I remember them, like, doing it after Baltimore had happened, but you might be right on that. It might have been the week before.
It
But
might
yeah,
have been
that's
like in the
like
nick of time.
and like that's yeah, that's obviously that's, like, ridiculous. But we are getting to the point where it's like, and just in general, it's like, why can't you just like, you should just get this stuff figured out and tell us before we can earn championship points for the next season.
One last
Please.
thing I will say, I mean, I think a big part of this is just gonna be what X is, right? 100 feels a lot better than 50, right? If it's just
Yeah.
50 US and like then we're talking about it's gonna be, you know,
And I'll have to
a
go to
real
locals
grind. You'll have
if
to
I want
really be
my
grinding if you want your invite. But that I mean, is that the question is just like, is that necessarily a bad thing?
yeah, that's definitely a big question.
But one thing I will say is like I think this could be a really bad thing for the younger division players. That's something that I haven't really seen many people talk about. Um, because then it puts so much more pressure on kids that are just wanting to most of them just wanting to play the game as a hobby for fun, right?
Yeah.
um I don't know, it's like I guess you do have some other worlds examples of this, like, there's like the Little League World Series and all that stuff that's really big every single year in America. Um, but you don't often see like on a global scale a uh competition this that could be like this stiff for children. Um I don't know. I mean, I guess you do have like chess and like the spelling bee is crazy. Have you ever seen like the ridiculous like
Yeah.
children's spelling bee competitions?
Well, the question is, there's always gonna be the whatever it is what Pokemon wants it to be, but we as a community, we can have an opinion on what we think the Pokemon TCG should be.
Sure.
And I feel like if this is the route they go, it starts to go away more away from a competitive hobby, right? It goes like starts to branch away from that
Yeah.
because no matter what, it can be a casual hobby for anyone,
Yeah.
right? If you could show up, just play in the Pokemon tournaments you want to, you're not worried about getting the World's Invite. But the players who want to be more competitive and like have it be more like a hobby, those are the players who are gonna or who are missing out the most, right? The people who want to have a competitive hobby are the players who's gonna hit the hardest if this is the change that they end up going with. Um, and yeah, it's gonna be across all the. I mean, I guess unless they have two different systems, they could have a different system in the juniors and seniors than the masters. I guess it'd probably be the same system though. Would be my guess because that's the way it's always kind of been.
Mhm.
Different qualification numbers sometimes, obviously, but
Yeah. Hopefully we get some news Friday and we'll have more to talk about next week. Moving on to our next topic here, we did want to give a little bit of an update on the illustration contest controversy. We did talk about this last week. Just quick rundown for anyone who missed that last week, doesn't know what we're talking about. The Pokemon Company International held an illustration contest where artists in the Pokemon communities could submit artwork drawn of several different specific Pokemon, and from those submissions, they would choose a top 300. From those 300, they whittle it down to three. And from those three, people get their cards made into an actual real Pokemon card, which is really, really cool. Um, it came out last week with the top 300, and they released the top 300 on the website. Everyone was looking through them, appreciating some of the great art from members of the Pokemon community. But then people were able to notice and were made aware of some AI art that had made its way into the mix, potentially taking away a spot from a human artist that was able to, that missed out, maybe, being number 301, 302, whatever, just outside the top 300. And yeah, the Pokemon Company actually did put out a statement about this. They tweeted today, "We are aware that select entrants from the top 300 finalists of the Pokemon TCG Illustration Contest 2024 have violated the official contest rules." They don't say what rules, but I guess there's something in there about using non I don't know, using AI. I don't know what's in there. As a result, the entrants in violation of the rules have been disqualified from the contest. And furthermore, additional artists participating in the contest will soon be selected to be among the top 300 finalists. We are committed to upholding the integrity of the Pokemon TCG illustration contest and appreciate fans' continued support as we celebrate the artistic abilities of the talented Pokemon community.
Yeah. So it is it's kind of like it's good to see them be so quick and so transparent, but I wish they would be really quick and really transparent with other things in the space. You know what I'm saying? On the competitive side of things. But it's good to see them address it pretty aggressively and then, give that opportunity immediately or saying they're going to give the opportunity to, the follow-up entrants who didn't quite make the top 300 from the first go around, weed out all the AI art. Hopefully no one gets caught in the crossfire of that at this point where it's like
That is a
their
potential worry,
art.
right?
Yeah, I'm sure hopefully they'll reach out for maybe some kind of proof or something to some people who are a little bit like they're a little bit more unsure about. So that's like that could be the next chapter in the AI art Pokemon TCG AI art scandal saga. Is next week we're talking about how some people were like, Pokemon said my art was AI, but it's not AI, and they come up with some kind of proof or something like that. So there might be a chapter 3 coming up. But yeah, I just wish they were more transparent and quick to be transparent about other stuff in that involves them, like the DQs at NAIC or stuff like that, which we still haven't heard anything about. And at this point, I don't think we're gonna hear anything from those situations. So, but it's good to see that they do it sometimes.
Yep, definitely not the type of thing we normally talk about, right? But we did talk about this story last week, so I just wanted to give an update since Pokemon did put out um, an official statement. And from there, we can move on to guess that flavor text. But before we get there, we do have to take a moment to thank our fantastic sponsor, Dragon Shield, for supporting us here, the Uncommon Energy Podcast. You guys know them, you love them. They make the best sleeves in the game. That's what we use them for. They've also got deck boxes, binders. I use the cube shells, the Magic Carpet XL to transport my cube. It's great for storing cards as well. And to celebrate their 25th anniversary, they did put out the blue silver dual matte anniversary special edition. They were kind enough to send Azul and I each a couple boxes of the new sleeves. I used them at NAIC. They feel great, and they are officially released now. So we'll leave a link. Whoa. We'll leave, my mic stand just took a tumble. We will leave a link in the description if you want to go check out the brand new anniversary special edition. I really like them. I don't know if Azul has used them or not yet, but I really enjoyed using them. And so if you want to pick some of this special anniversary color up, be sure to do that. Link will be in the description, and that will also support us.
Yeah, I haven't used them yet, but yeah, appreciate Dragon Shield as always. Make sure you use the code UEPOD, get yourself a discount, support us over here. And again, to guess that flavor text, it's Chip's week to pick a card for me to guess. If I get it right without using any lifelines, I get 4 points for each lifeline I use. I will get 1 less point. What and the lifelines are what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and then read an attack name on the card. Chip, you got your card ready for me to guess?
Yes, I do indeed.
All right.
Currently, I am up 5 points. I'm up 25 to 20. So Zul cannot even tie this week. He is officially too far behind, and we'll see if he can
Yeah,
pick up some ground here with this one. You ready?
I'm ready, Chip.
Trimming its fluffy fur not only makes it more elegant, but also increases the swiftness of its movements.
Oof. Well, there's a couple I can think of that this could be. It increases the swiftness of its movement. Maybe something like Manetric or Shinx or one of the Luxray line. Alright, go ahead and give it to me one more time.
Trimming its fluffy fur not only makes it more elegant, but also increases the swiftness of its movement.
Fluffy fur. Man, this one's kinda tough. I could be a I don't think it's a stage 2. It sounds like it could be a basic or a stage 1. I am still kinda lost on this one, though. Let's go with what set the card is from.
It is from XY Phantom Forces.
Yeah.
That is the
Is that
set
the
with Night
Yeah, I
March,
was gonna say it's
Battle
the Night March set,
Compressor
right?
versus Seeker, Lysander's Trump card, XY era set.
Alright, well, give me an attack name. And the attack name on this one.
Attack name Tight Jaw.
Ooh. So it's like it is definitely like some kinda like probably like cat or dog kinda Pokemon. Man, I'm like blanking though on this. Alright, what stage is the card? We're gonna use them all here. Maybe I can get 1 point.
It is a basic.
Okay. Tight jaw. Dude, what Pokemon is this? I feel like I should probably know this one. I mean, there's a couple Pokemon out there that have the attack tight jaw. I can't think of anything from Phantom Forces specifically. Oh my gosh, I'm like blanking on this one. I don't even know what to guess at this point. What is Manetric's basic? It's
Electrike.
Electrike. I don't know, maybe I just go with Electrike, but I don't know if there's one in Phantom Forces. There might be though. Dude, did Mega Man come out in Phantom Forces?
Manectric EX and Mega Manectric EX did come out in Phantom Forces.
I don't know if there's another Manetric in there. I mean, it's not them because they don't have flavor texts, but dude, I have no idea. Fluffy fur Pokemon. I mean, let's just go with dude, I don't know. Manetric or was it not Manetric with a
Electrike.
basic Electrike.
Going with the Electrike, and that is incorrect, Azul. I do think
I
there is
did
a
think so.
Shinx in that set, but it's also not Shinx. It is Furfro.
Dude, I was literally thinking of Furfru, but I didn't think there was a dude, what? This existed back then? I thought this didn't even
It came
exist.
out in the XY generation, bro.
Oh my gosh. I've never seen this card before. Usually I've at least seen the cards before, especially like an
Right.
XY card. I have literally never seen this card before.
Yeah,
Furfru literally crossed my
Furfro.
mind. Oh
Furfro.
my
I actually don't know how to say it.
something like that.
But yeah, look, it's got all these different look at all the different cards. It's all got different styles and stuff. That's like the unique thing about this Pokemon is it can be styled all these different ways.
Oh, and did that change like what it does or it's typing or something in the video game?
No, it's all cosmetic, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, what?
But some of them are like insanely rare. Like
Oh,
this Pokemon you can catch in Pokemon Go. Let me see
I never really noticed that they were that different.
Furfro forms. I'm sure it's on Bulbapedia or Cerebi. Yeah. Yeah, there's like all these different forms of it. I guess you can't really quite see it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I can
okay.
see him.
Natural form, heart trim, star trim, all these different trims. But yeah, in Pokemon Go, you can usually only catch Furfro in like a certain time of the year.
Mhm.
And then you can only change it to these other forms in certain locations. So,
Jeez.
like the Pharaoh trim here, you can only change your Furfro to the Pharaoh trim if you are in like the Egypt, Middle East region of the world. So, like some of them are like insanely rare to like actually have, and I actually don't even know. I think some of them are really hard to get like in the game as well. Oh, wait, never mind. Appearance can be altered by getting it groomed in Lumio City Furfur store, and it will revert to its natural form after 5 days. Yeah,
It'll
there you go.
revert to its normal form after 5 days. Is that what you said?
Apparently, that's what this says
Wait, in the video game or in Pokemon Go?
in the video. This is the video game. In the video game,
Oh, okay, okay.
not in
Yeah.
Pokemon Go.
Dude, I coulda just said it. I coulda said Furfrou.
I thought there was a chance you would get this one. It's obviously not the most common Pokemon, but like the fluffy fur,
Yeah,
making
that's what
it
I was
elegant.
thinking.
I think a lot of people probably got this one in the comments.
Yeah, I coulda just, like, guessed it, because I said I didn't have too much else to go off of. I was hoping something would
You
come
didn't
up.
even mention it though, but you said you were thinking about it.
Yeah, but I was like I just, like, dismissed it. Like, it went through my head a couple times to begin with, and I just, like, dismissed it. Especially when you said XY, I just thought it was a Pokemon that came out later.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, very first print XY base set.
Unlucky on this one. This one is ugly. What the heck? It looks like a
This is the
porcupine.
base form of it.
Damn, it's gotta change. You gotta put on one of the costumes or whatever.
Well, which one? Which card is the best one? There's the blue
Probably the
trim.
star
The
one. Yeah, the blue
yeah,
trim on it.
yeah.
Dude, and also I've just that's crazy because I've never seen this card. I don't think I've ever seen that card. But I've usually like seen almost every single card
Yeah.
at least. Like I'll look at like all these other ones I recognize for the most part.
You've at
Not
least
the
seen them.
blue star. Yeah. Well, not this top left one. Where is it? What set is that one from?
That is from Chilling Rain.
Has there ever been a good Furfrou card?
Probably not.
Probably not, right?
I don't think so. I feel like this one was maybe in like a starter deck on TCGO.
No, it was one of the other ones. If you go back, it was
Oh
the
yeah,
purple
these were
one.
in the Kalos starter set.
Yeah, the purple one. If you scroll up, was in one of the theme decks.
Oh, this one was in a theme deck. Okay.
Yep.
Drawn to a 5 card. Hey, not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, I did be playing some. I did be playing some of the theme decks back on the PTCGO
Dude, do you kind of miss theme
days.
deck ladder a little bit every once in a while?
Yeah, I mean, I just like playing Pokemon, and playing Pokemon in different formats is just fun. So
Mhm.
like the current playing Pokemon in the same way over and over again gets boring. Like that's
I've
why when new sets
noticed
come out, it's exciting and stuff like that. But so like when you go back play retro stuff like that, it's always a good time.
well, I guess we can transition from here into talking about the current format. But I mean, kind of before we talk about the current format, I will say, like, with this break, I've definitely noticed quite an uptick on Twitter in people discussing like expanded and GLC, and there being like expanded locals and stuff happening. Seems to be
Yeah,
a lot of interest in these alternate ways to play the game, which is definitely cool to see. Like you said, you just like to play Pokemon. I as well. I just like to play Pokemon. I like playing retro and stuff like that as well. Um, it's
we're
cool to
just
see,
coming up
like,
with
people when they are taking a break from playing Pokemon, right? This break between the standard competitive season, they're finding other ways to still enjoy the game.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Do you think that, I think, like, there was a time for sure where there being standard and expanded events was fun. Like, expanded was, like, a fun format for a while, right?
Yeah.
And then Expanded has a pretty bad reputation right now, and I think you're a part of that, right? You definitely
Oh,
are
not a big fan.
not quiet about your dislike of the expanded format, but there's been a lot of people liking it right now on Twitter and stuff like that. Do you think that there would be merit to Pokemon bringing back like a secondary format to official support?
Uh, I think it would be fine. I just think they probably shouldn't run major tournaments in that format. But
Sure.
besides that, um, yeah. Besides that, I think it would be fine. I mean, there does seem to be a decent amount of people who enjoy those tournaments. Wasn't there like expanded side events at um
There was, yeah, at
NAIC?
NAIC. I
Yeah.
didn't see anyone post anything about them
And
though.
we had talked about it a couple weeks prior where I brought up I was like, I assume that they do expanded side events, and you were like, no, they don't. I was like, oh, that's
They
interesting.
don't, but then they did at
Y
NAIC.
yeah, it was yeah, 'cause, yeah, leading up to NAIC, we had talked about it, and then, yeah, at NAIC, they had them. Um, yeah, I mean, I think if they have them in some capacity, that's fine. Did anyone really run, like, expanded could you run cups and challenges in expanded last season? You could, right? I don't know how many people
I
did.
don't think so. I don't think you
You
can.
sure? I think you
Yeah,
could oh, maybe you couldn't.
I'm pretty sure it was a thing that
Mm,
you could not.
you could not, yeah. I mean, if they did it, like if they allowed that, I think that'd be fine. Because if, like, some local communities have, like, a strong, want for it to exist, I think it's fine for it to exist. But, yeah, major tournaments I mean, on top of me thinking just the format isn't very good, um I would say also just like it's super gate kept by just card access, right? So that's like another thing as well. There's so
Yeah, if
many
Expanded ever
cards.
became supported again, can you imagine, like, what the price of
Yeah,
some of these cards would shoot up
like
to?
they would skyrocket. Like I'm trying to like how much is a Garbodor? I think Garbodor is still pretty good. How
It's
much
probably
does
only like a
Garbodor cost right
dollar or
now?
so, right? Because
It's only
like,
25 cents. It's only 25, 50
yeah,
cents, 25
geez.
cents, but they would jump up pretty fast. Yeah, but I guess it's not that unreasonable. What about like a I'm just like throwing out cards. A float stone. How much does a float stone cost?
Floatstone, some of these cards are kind of expensive.
$3.
They're kind of more valuable because of GLC.
That's true.
GLC keeps them relevant in price, like
All right.
big time.
When we come back to expanded and it's expensive, you can blame Mahone. It's Mahone's
Yeah.
fault.
Like Versus Seeker is like $4 or $5 still, even though it's not a standard legal card.
Yeah.
It's definitely just on the back of GLC. Bridget is still kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Colress is expensive because of GLC.
Yeah. GLC making waves on that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of it. I think if they did like a big, but the thing is, like, expanded is still played in Japan. Not a lot. They had like that side Champions League expanded event that like happened in day 2 of Champions
Yeah.
League, one of the standard Champions League. Like, if you didn't make day 2, you could play in the expanded Champions League, but they only had one of those, I believe,
They've done
last
that
season.
before though.
Yeah. I don't know what other expanded stuff they do over there, but they've continued to play it, and like they're playing with the current rules and expanded. I'm just not a big fan of it personally, but I guess we'll see.
They're speaking of like side events and like people enjoying other ways to play Pokemon, there Alex Hill, a friend of ours who runs the website PTCG Legends, he hosted 2 retro celebration tournaments at NAIC this year. A 2010 event that took place on Thursday before the tournament, which was in the 2010 Worlds format, had 48 players in that, and then in on Sunday at NAIC held a 2014 tournament, which is not like the most popular format, but it had 70 players show up to compete in it, which is pretty cool, honestly. I think the reason he chose 2014 is because it's like the 10-year anniversary of the format, right?
Yeah,
2024, 2014. Um,
it is kind of cool.
but it is super cool. There was a pretty decent showing, and he's got the results from them on his website if anyone's interested. John Orgel won the 2010 World Tournament with Guardy Galade, taking down Eric Nance and Steelix. There's a lot of people who think Eric actually should have won Worlds back in 2010 with Steelix.
They hit a good
Um,
shot. I don't know how that matchup goes though, the Guardian matchup versus
I spoke to John very briefly on Friday or Saturday, and
Steelix has got to be favored, right?
he told me he got pretty lucky to win. I don't remember the exact uh situation that came up.
Yeah,
And then Rich Wolter won the 2014 event with a Yveltal Darkrai deck.
the Crushing
Just good
Hammers.
old Darkrai.
Yeah, that's actually this is like pretty similar to the. This might actually be Sosa played something like this that year at Worlds. I actually think it was actually probably pretty good. Crushing Hammers was like really good against Verzi and Genesect, and not bad in the mirror match as well.
Lots of cool
What
decks.
was whoa? Go back to that plasma deck. What
It's
is that
Lugia,
fish
buddy.
with the fish?
Oh, the
Of
Jellicent.
course. What? I've seen this card before. I've never seen anyone play it. This
I got
Pokemon is
top
in your
4,
active zone is
buddy.
knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack. The attack mode is now confused and poisoned. Aqua Bullet, 40, 10 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. What is this? Is this supposed to be Kyurem? Like, is that supposed to be Kyurem and it just got imported wrong? Like, is a 2/2
There's a
Jellicent?
Frillish in here too, so I don't think so.
What? What is that
There's
for?
also 4 roller skates in this deck. I
Right,
guess
well, this is
that was
it's just
normal in Speed
Lugia.
Lugia. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, you're just trying to go fast, but, like, the 2/2 Jellicent is throwing me off there. I've never seen that before.
people still out here innovating in these retro formats, you know?
Yeah, the 2/2 Jellicent, look out. But
Pretty
actually,
crazy.
those are pretty cool. That's something I would actually if I had, like, more
Dude,
time,
I
I
don't
guess,
wanna hear
I would
you
have been
talk
down to
about it right
playing.
now. I don't wanna hear you talk about it.
When did it happen?
Because you could have stayed and played in this thing, dude.
I could have. Did I even have a deck, though? I didn't have a deck.
I brought multiple 2014 decks. You
Dude, you should have
literally told
told
me
wait, did you play?
no, I
Oh.
cubed.
Oh, okay. You cubed
But I
instead.
kind of wish I had played, to be honest, because I had already cubed several times that weekend. You know, I should have mixed it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, next time I'll stay and I'll play.
I doubt it. You're gonna go home.
Hey, someone's gotta restream the finals, bro.
Yeah. No, they actually don't.
Oh, well, it'd be cool if they did, and I did.
All right. Well, yeah, let's move on and talk about the current format. There's not that many results from it, but there was the Taiwan Championships 2 weekends ago now. This was the weekend after NAIC. Whoa. I just clicked. I have no idea what I just clicked. I clicked a button I shouldn't have clicked. There we go. Okay. My bad. I don't know what I just clicked. I don't know if I'll edit that out. I probably won't. Anyway, um, so there was this Taiwan Championships. We don't have that much information on it. We don't even know all the players' names, but we do know it was won by Kai with Snorlax. We don't have the deck list or anything like that. And it looks like a couple Lost Box decks with Lugia as well joining it in the top four, and then one Gardevoir deck we know about in the top eight.
Yeah, so not a ton of information and nothing too crazy, I guess, as well, by what did well up there, right? It is a Squawkabilly, though.
This is the Henry Brand deck.
Yeah, the Henry Band Billy. I don't know if that's the exact 60, but it looks pretty close to it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
he's got the double monkey, the double dark energy.
Yeah. When I first saw Henry's list, I was like, "What are you attacking with?" Because there's no Brave Charm, no Drifloon. You do have a Screamtail.
Just
You do,
Gardevoir, buddy.
yeah, just attack with Gardevoir. The Mews a good attacker, and then like yeah, the Monkey Door fixes double Monkey Door fixes a lot of your math to make Gardevoir like an actual threat in a lot of situations, and has the candies in there as well, so you can get like turn two Gardevoir attacking.
Yeah.
Um, so there was that, and then we do have
This
the
weekend.
this weekend. There's the Malaysia Championships coming up. Um, I actually didn't know about these tournaments when they were going down, but I'm definitely going to be reshooting the Malaysia Championships because I am aware of it now as it's coming up. I wish it was just like a, I mean, like the PTCG Legend site is great. I just need to visit it more often. But I wish there was like a more official way to
Well, the
know these
problem
things
is
are
that there's so
happening.
many different circuits here, right? Like the Malaysia Championships is what under the TPC umbrella, right?
Yeah, but how hard is it for there to be like a section on Pokemon.com under the trading card game section that's just like upcoming major tournaments and then two different categories, TPCI, TPC, and that just shows them, and that's it. And it shows you like where you can watch the stream and the information on it. Like that's just like doesn't seem very hard, and it doesn't seem very hard for TPC to reach out to TPCI and be like, "Hey, here are our major tournaments this year or coming up. Here are the dates. Here's the information. There you go." Like that's just like why is it that although I love that what Alex Wilson does with PTCG Legends, why is Alex Wilson the one who's getting all this information and then putting it together in like one place for us to see?
Yeah.
Which is it's great to see, but like yeah, the Malaysia Championships are coming up, and honestly, there's still like a decent amount of play in this format. That's probably why I've still been enjoying it a decent amount post NAIC. Um, because over in TPCI, we only had TPCI regions. We only had one major tournament, which was NAIC, right? And there are still some major tournaments being closed out, some championships being ended over in Asia, and yeah, we got one more, or I think there's two more major tournaments that I'm aware of are coming up. We got Malaysia Championships this weekend, and then sometime in July, there's the last big tournament in China, but they're playing in a completely different format entirely.
Yeah. So our players from China qualified for this year's Worlds? There are, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But they
yeah.
have to like jump way far ahead.
Yeah, so they have to play in our format.
Did you ever find that there was a couple people who asked in the comments of the YouTube channel last week
Oh,
or the week before about the
the interview I
podcast
did?
or whatever, the interview you did with the Chinese crew?
No, I'll reach out and I'll get a link for that and I'll tweet it out. So,
You should definitely
we
upload it on your channel if you can. I think that would be
I guess I could do that
cool,
maybe as well.
or at least on
Yeah.
your second channel, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll reach out. I'll get the link for that because it's on some the site is called like Billy TV or something. It's like I don't know if it's
Yeah,
like their version of YouTube in China or
I think it's their
something, but
version
it's
of Twitch.
yeah. I think yeah, it might be like that. Yeah, I'll try and get a link for that so people can view it if they want to. Yeah,
Um,
they're gonna have to jump quite a bit ahead. I mean, they're gonna play our format, so they're jumping quite a bit. It'd be really fun. It'd be like ridiculous, but it'd be hilarious if they
they
played their
played their format.
against us and our format at Worlds. It'd be. I mean,
Who would be favored
I mean, they have ADP and Mew VMAX,
in the same
so
format? Those never existed in the same format.
yeah, they did.
Did
I
they?
didn't think that I didn't remember them it was in COVID. I didn't remember them existing in the same format either, but they did in COVID. That's where,
Wow.
like, the wait, unless I'm tripping,
I
but I'm
don't
pretty
think
sure they
they
did.
did. I think the ADP rotated before Mew came out.
Did it? People in my chat were telling me they did, but
Well, I would
when I
believe the
brought it up
chat before I believe me, which is honestly a rarity, but
it was, like, pre-COVID. It was during, like, the online era of stuff. So I don't know how we would be able to
like a players cup or something like that.
me did any of the Players' Cups have Mew?
No.
No?
But like I think that
Maybe not. Maybe
ADP
they didn't.
rotated. I think ADP rotated.
As Mew came out?
Yeah, I want to say like
You might be
Sword and
right. Well,
Shield on.
they have Mew and ADP at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, their release schedule is weird. I think mentioned this last time I talked about this, but for anyone who didn't hear it, like they're getting Palkia without Greninja is what they told me. So that'll be interesting. But I'm gonna try and tune into that tournament as well. It's like I think sometime in the middle of July. So I'm definitely interested to tune into that, watch some older format, unique format gameplay, to be honest. They're kind of like in the situation we were in where we would be playing a format that Japan never played.
Hmm.
Um, and we were like behind Japan. Like, so that was like 2,
Wow.
3 years ago now.
This is really interesting. So Fusion Strike, I'm trying to figure this out now. Fusion Strike came out between, so they have a filter here on Limitless where you can sort
Yeah.
by the format.
Mhm.
Um, and Fusion Strike came out between Chilling Reign and Brilliant Stars. Um, but the last team up on format, which would include ADP, is team up through Battle Styles, or sorry, team up through Chilling Reign. And then the first Sword and Shield format is Sword and Shield through Brilliant Stars. So there was no Players Cup, no regionals or anything that happened in this format. I remember there was the Full Grip Games 1K, 5K, I don't remember what it was. Uh that Mew was legal. It was like one of the very first ones that Mew was legal. I'm pretty
Was
sure it
ADP
was
also
Sword and
legal?
Shield On. I think it was Sword and Shield On.
Okay.
I don't think ADP was legal.
Okay,
I think
maybe
that's
it
the one
didn't
that we
exist.
played in the finals of.
Yeah, there was no Mew then for sure.
Yeah,
Then wasn't there one that happened no, that would make sense actually then, yeah. Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. You
it
might be
was
right.
Fusion Strike's release weekend.
Mew would have been pretty good and Urshifu would have been pretty bad if Mew existed. So it makes sense that Mew was not
No,
around.
no, Mew wasn't around. ADP wasn't around
Or ADP wasn't around. Wait, then why was Urshifu good?
because Mew nobody knew how to play Mew. Nobody
Oh,
knew about
was it
the
all bad?
yeah. People were playing Peony in their deck. You don't remember this?
Dude, that's crazy going back and yeah, Mew should have always been
People
so much
were playing
more.
Latios in their decks.
That is rough to be honest. Yeah, to be honest. What were we doing, man? Well, I'm not gonna I was playing Urshifu. Y'all were just screwing up with Mew. You guys let me
And also
win with
Shadow
Urshifu.
Rider was still broken.
What was it beating Mew? I don't know if you're beating Mew. I think Mew's beating you.
Man, I really don't remember that tournament super well. I wonder
Had
if
the
they have the
Latios,
results
bro.
posted anywhere. They probably don't.
Probably not, no. It's so funny sometimes looking back on old formats and just being like how bad some of the decks or ideas were, or like just the
Or
general
how long
like
it took people to realize
yeah,
how
or like
good
just like the
something was.
general yeah, on like a community wide scale. It's like the whole community
Dude,
basically thought
Let
mm,
Loose Marshadow was
broken card.
legal for a year before anyone put it in a deck.
Was it maybe just not good? It was good
Dude,
though. It was a pretty good
it's pretty
card.
good.
It's
It's
pretty
disruption and card draw as an
the thing is
ability.
the thing is bench space though was not was at like was a because when we got tag teams, we had a
That's when
huge
people
basic
first
Pokemon
started
that did so
playing
yeah,
it.
because you had bench space to work with at that point. But back when you played like Buzzrock and Zoroark decks, you didn't really have the bench space.
I don't know.
Um,
Turbo Buzzwole Max Elixir deck with Let Loose probably could have been pretty good if you ask me.
maybe had potential. Hit him with a let loose into was Drampa's GX attack?
Big wheel, baby.
Yeah, let loose into the big wheel.
And then they end you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt but no, if we let loose them though, they won't have the end. Let loose, big
It's the
wheel,
chance.
they
Dude,
dead
if
draw, we have a 10 card
anyone who
hand.
started playing in the last like 3 years is like, what are these guys doing?
Which is crazy to think because that doesn't feel like an old format, like that old.
I don't know, man.
We've been playing
Everything
Pokemon for a while
pre-COVID feels
now.
like a lifetime ago, honestly.
It is a while. Yeah, COVID did kind of accelerate things a little bit, just kind of in general in life.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's Malaysia Championships happening this weekend. There's still plenty of play in this format. There's obviously cups and challenges starting up, so we did want to talk about it a little bit. Um, you've been playing still and streaming and stuff. What are some of the decks you've been liking? What are some of the things you've played in tournaments?
I played the Roaring Moon. Like recently, the decks I played in tournaments were Roaring Moon and Sablezard. The Roaring Moon deck feels pretty good, to be honest. It's aggressive, and you do have like some decent options against some of the one prize based decks, one prize attacking decks like Guardies and stuff like that. Yeah, so this exact 60 is what I've been running, and it just feels really good. The only things I'm like trying to like maybe change, like a heavy ball would be kind of cool, another vessel would be kind of cool. Cutting a trekking shoes seems like it would probably be fine. Maybe a Pokestop.
Is this good
Um,
into like Raging Bolt and
yeah.
Lugia?
Oh yeah, those match. Well, the Lugia matchup, I'm not as sure about. I've beaten all the ones I played against on ladder because I just turn one KO. They're only Lugia in play. But against like if they set up and get a mist energy on a Lugia, you can't want to KO it at all. So
Right.
that sounds a little tricky. But honestly, I have no clue. That'd be like a matchup to test. If someone was trying to take the deck a little bit more seriously. But most other matchups feel pretty good. Like you have the Moonlight Shuriken canceling clone combo. I don't know. You're kind of chilling. And then yeah, Sablezard feels really good right now. Overall, no one really has Jirachi in their decks. Lost Zone in general feels really, really good. Can't really go wrong with either build, the Sablezard, the Hedrick, Lost Box. I really don't have that many strong opinions about the current format because like there's not like it is weird, like when there's no major tournaments coming up, it feels like everything is a lot just more kind of like open, but like there's like even in the community, it feels like there's like a lack of like structure in general, where there's not as much to go off of. Because like not only do I not really care what the meta is, but it feels like no one really cares what the meta is, which makes sense because there's no meta to care about. We're not building up towards or just coming off of a major tournament. Um, yeah, those are like the ones I've been playing the most recent online tournaments. But then I've been messing around with like a bunch of stuff recently, and definitely more stuff to just kind of mess around with. Gonna try Golden Go soon, see if it's any good. I haven't played Golden Go in a long time, but yeah. So a lot of like a lot of play in the format, which is kind of cool because we do have like this big downtime.
Um, so if you were playing in a tournament this weekend, what are some of the decks you would lean to? For me, I think Lugia still seems really good, and I really liked Alex Shemansky's take on the deck.
Yeah,
With the basic lightning energies, at least. I do think I would still try to play Chinchino.
dude, get the
I'm
rats
not
out of
super
here.
convinced on Drapion or Weirdeer. Weirdeer, I mean, if you're not playing Chinchino, you probably have to play the Weirdeer, right? But
Well, the Drapion you need for KO Guard EX because you don't have the rats.
right, so
Yeah, you have to make
yeah,
that trade off. You'd rather
or
have
you
some rats
play
in
the
there,
rats, yeah,
maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I
because
really
the
like
rats
the
go pretty good against, like, Raging Bolt and
yeah.
any other 2 prize deck, good in the mirror, good against Charizard.
Definitely has its matchups. But yeah, this is how I play Lugia as well for sure. Go around more hands type builds. Um, and then besides that, like I mentioned, Sablezard, and then I think Charizard. Like I think Sablezard and Charizard would be my top two decks. Like if I was playing in like a major tournament this coming up weekend, like the Malaysia Championships. I think those would be my top two to possibly play. But I'm not really thinking about the format that much in that kind of way or taking it that seriously. So um yeah, it just like feels like such a different vibe or such a different feel to be like where we currently are. Um, with nothing coming up, playing in a format that doesn't really matter, but it's still fun to just kind of play Pokemon. But like I don't even know how to explain it, but like it's not that I don't enjoy playing Pokemon, I just don't care. Like just like I'm not thinking about Pokemon the way I usually do when I'm in the middle of the season and I just played in a major tournament and then 2 weeks from now there's another major tournament. Um
It is funny
Not in
because
tune. I'm
you
not in tune with the meta, but there's, like, also no meta to be in tune with.
during the season, you were definitely, like, constantly thinking about it. Like, whenever you were over here when we filmed some videos and stuff, we would just be sitting downstairs watching basketball, and you would just all of a sudden go, "Dude, what if you played like da 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 da?" Or we'd be going out, be like, "Dude, what about da 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 da?" It's definitely constantly on your mind during the season, it feels like. The
Yeah,
meta and
definitely.
the changing meta.
Yeah, and I think what I just said is probably the best way to explain it as well. It's like, I'm not very in tune with the meta, but there's no meta to be in tune with as well, so it's just kinda like, whatever. It's kinda like free falling through the Pokemon format more so than anything, which is, like, not a bad thing. and I'm content with it. I mean, people ask me still all the time about like what I think about this deck or that deck or what I think are the best decks or the most popular decks, and just like because I don't think about it. I don't really have any good answers for people anymore. Just like I don't know because I just don't really care right now to like think about Pokemon in that way. But I'm sure as we get closer to Worlds and I start thinking about the new cards a little bit more, um, and playing with them, that'll probably I'll shift back into I guess like try hard mode or whatever.
Well, I think that's all we have for the episode this week. Any other thoughts, Azul, before we get into our bonus episode?
Nope, nope, should be good. Go ahead, send us out.
Yeah, appreciate the support as always. If you do enjoy the podcast, be sure to leave us a like, a review, rating, comment, subscribe. Those things help us out a bunch. Let people know you're enjoying us, and so more people can discover it. Um, if you want to stay up to date with us, the best place to do it is over on X. You can follow myself at Chip Ritchie Azul at Azul_GG. And you can follow the podcast at Uncommon_Energy.
I appreciate the support as always. Catch you all next week. Most likely,
Most
7
likely.
a.m. Yeah, 7 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Peace.